Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ask Huda. I'm your host, Jamil Rashid, and I have with me today Sheikh Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for being with us today on Ask Huda.
My pleasure. Wa jazakum.
Barakallah feek. Okay, let's remind you of our telephone numbers. Country code, as usual, is 202, then it's 3855524802449. You must have it recorded. I've said it a million times. And our email address is askask@huda.tv. And I've got two announcements as usual. You're probably used to the announcements too. Please don't turn on your television sets when you're speaking to us. And second, please do call in early. Sheikh, we've got a couple of questions from Sister Sadia from Egypt. Maybe Saadia from Egypt, whichever way you say it. She says, when I pray Salah, am I allowed to close my eyes, especially when I recite Surah Al-Fatiha? This is, she says, so that she can concentrate on the meanings of the verses. Sheikh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyihi wa Mustafa Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. All praise due to Allah, we praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is the truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. May the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Closing the eyes during the Salah, whether reciting Surah Al-Fatiha or in any other rukn such as ruku' or sujood, is disliked, makruh. Unless if one cannot attain khushu' and tranquility in the Salah, except with closing the eyes. In this condition, Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, says in his beautiful book Zadul Ma'ad with regards to this mas'ala, whatever is convenient for the person to attain khushu' in the Salah is permissible. So sometimes closing the eyes in this condition will be not just permissible, recommended if one cannot obtain khushu' and tranquility in the Salah unless he or she closes their eyes. We should also understand that the sunnah is to look at the spot of your sujood. That's most likely to make you obtain khushu'. Sometimes also closing the eyes will be recommended if you are facing, in many masajid nowadays, and by the way, this is one of the signs of the Day of Judgment, where the masajid are being decorated, and the prayer rugs and Jana namaz are fully decorated, distracting the attention of the musalli. So if this is the case, he or she are closing their eyes in order not to distract their attention by whatever they are looking at. That too is permissible, and Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, the second question, she says, I know we can pray Salat al-Dhuhr wa Asr together, but what are the conditions for doing so, Sheikh?
If we're talking about al-Jamma, or combining the two prayers of Dhuhr and Asr together at the time of either one of them, then Maghrib and Isha at the time of either one of them, is limited to the following conditions. If the person is traveling, so in this condition, they get to shorten the prayer, in addition to combining the two prayers as we described earlier, if it is needed. Then the Prophet ﷺ allowed us, in the case of the heavy rain and whenever it's muddy, to combine the late two prayers. We call them al-Isha'ain, the Maghrib and Isha. At the time of Maghrib, of course, in order that people would pray Maghrib and Isha in the masjid, then they don't have to make a special effort to come walking in the mud or in the heavy rain. Also in the case of fear, and in the case of sickness, besides that, the person should not combine the prayers without any necessary need.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, the first call of the day, Brother Abu Ridwan from Kuwait. Brother, you're live on Ask Huda. Your question, please.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah, your program is very nice and we all family like it too much.
Thank you.
Barakallah feek. Jazakallah khair, brother.
Yeah, my question is regarding also the combined prayer. Yes, I want to ask regarding the combined prayer during the floods and during the rainy season. Okay, so in the Asian continent, we generally don't pray this combined prayer. But in the Arab country, it is very frequent, because when there is a rain or there is a cloudy weather or there is like a floody fog situation, they started to pray combined prayer. Is it okay?
Okay.
And my second question is,
yes, carry on.
regarding the tashahud. Yeah, regarding tashahud, I want to know that when we say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah, and we raise the index finger, is it okay to move up and down, or is it okay to keep it still? Yani?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and my one question is regarding the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Because when we read the verses of Quran, there is a Qawm Aad, Qawm Ibrahim, Qawm Samud, but we know there is not Qawm Yusuf. So you can just please clarify it more.
Okay.
And my final question is regarding some historical background of holy companion Uthman alayhi radiallahu ta'ala anhu.
Did you get the name?
Background and his death. Please give some historical light on it.
On the background of Uthman radiallahu anhu?
A companion, holy companion Uthman alayhi salam.
Ismail? Okay.
No,
Uthman. Okay, I've got
Uthman ibn Affan.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Affan, exactly, yes.
Barakallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdul Ridwan there from Kuwait. Jazakallah khair, brother, for those questions. You got all 4 of those in there. We limited them 3, but you got 4, mashallah. That's good. Okay, next, Sister Khadija from Egypt. Sister, you're live and ask her your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, my question is, are middle names allowed in Islam? That's my question. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Barakallah fiki. Okay, Sister Khadija there from Egypt. Nice and sharp. Barakallah fiki, sister. Okay, let's get back to some of these questions, Sheikh. Sister Saadia from Egypt wants to know her last question. She says, I leave my college and I want to pray at my house, but the time I leave my college, if I go home, I'll miss the salah in the mosque. Now also she says, when I enter the mosque, I have to pray 2 rakahs to enter it, because this is to greet the mosque. If I do so, I may actually miss the salah itself. So what do I do? Do I just go in and pray straight away?
Number 1, every Muslim should make certain he or she will get to offer the prayer on its right time. Not just that, on its earliest time. Allah the Almighty in the Quran says, Inna as-salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. So there are 2 commands in this verse. That the first command is that the ordainment of the prayers, of offering the salah. And the second is to offer them on their fixed times. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribe these times, then we should not postpone any prayer from its proper time. So you should pray at college, you should pray at work, you should pray wherever you are working, as long as there is a prayer time and you're afraid that if you leave, you won't be able to make it home before the time of the prayer is out, then you should pray at college or at work or wherever. Regarding the second part of the question, which says that yes, you come home or you go to the masjid and you're able to pray, but if you get to pray Tahiyatul Masjid, you miss the time of the prayer. Number 1, Tahiyatul Masjid is a confirmed sunnah in case of the person that is entering the masjid and there is no due prayer. So if he is not praying the fard nor any related nawafil, then he is recommended to pray Tahiyatul Masjid, or the greeting of the masjid, 2 rak'ahs before he or she would sit down. But if there is a prayer already that is due, Jama'ah has been established, or the adhan has been called and you're going to pray the sunnah that is before the prayer, then you're exempted from the greeting of the masjid. The greeting of the masjid is to pray. So whether it is an independent 2 rak'ahs, or whether it is the fard itself, or any related nawafil. Once the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was given the khutbah, one of the companions entered and he sat down. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam asked him in public, he said, have you prayed yet? He said, no. He said, get up and pray. So these 2 rakahs are highly confirmed sunnah to be offered if there is no due prayer.
Okay, we've got a question here now from Sister Khadija. She said, I got married 3 years ago. In our relationship now, I find that I don't love my husband anymore, she says. And it's more really advice, Sheikh. What should I do? How do I regain this love, she's asking.
Well, I hope that she's asking about how can I regain this love. Because as I do recall that she was inquiring about asking for separation or divorce. We need to realize that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed marriage, He said about it in Surah Al-Rum, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Which means, and amongst His proofs, signs in this universe, that He created for you from amongst yourselves spouses, in order to find repose in them. And He made between the spouses, between you guys, love and compassion. He created the state of love and compassion between the couple. Indeed, in that there are signs for people who reflect. So the marriage life should be established on al-mawaddah, wal-rahmah, love, compassion, mercy, and so forth. When the marriage life is evacuated and emptied from all of that, and the husband does not like his wife, period, nor does she like him or love him, period, this is a very tough life, because this is not your colleague or your co-worker. This is a person whom you're spending your entire life with. You go to bed together, etc. And that's why we first of all have to find out the reasons. Maybe there are some shortcomings on the husband's side, and we need to ask him to work on it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recommended in the Quran, فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ يُرِيدَ إِصْلَاحَ يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا, to appoint a wise person, a representative from his family side, and another one from her family, and they communicate based on the background of each one of the couple, which would share with the hakam, in order to come to a meeting point and reconcile. What if it doesn't work, and she comes to the point, or he comes to the point where he cannot see her, or she cannot see him, for a reason or another? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse number 229 of the Quran, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَلَّا يُقِيمَ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا فِيمَا افْتَدَتْ بِهِ, which prescribes a new ruling. It is not infinite for a woman that she got married. That means she can never get away. If marriage life is impossible and she's not happy at all, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed her to do what's called khul' or fidya. Basically, she does not have to pay anything extra, or this is not blackmailing. No, rather, if the husband owes her that he paid her the dowry, he furnished the house, and there is a deferred dowry and so forth, that if he divorces her, he's obliged to pay all of that. So, if she doesn't want to live with him anymore based on her will, and there is no shortcoming on his side, so in this condition she can ask him, well, I'm giving away all my rights, and whatever you paid me, and whatever you owe me, just set me free, or allow me to go. And in this case, if they both agree, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا, there is no blame on both of them, فِيمَا افْتَدَتْ بِهِ. And this kind of divorce will be called khul', and it is different from the regular divorce, that it is irreversible. In the regular divorce, in the first and the second time, if the man divorces his wife, that within the iddah he has a time to return her. That's the talaq al-raj'i, reversible divorce. But in the case of al-khul', then it's not reversible. Yet, if it was the first or the second time, then if they like to remarry once again, they will remarry based on a new marriage contract, new dowry, a new negotiation, of course. I would like to remind you that when a similar case was presented before Umar ibn Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, he said, isn't there anything in marriage life but love? What about living together to help one another to raise our kids, or to support one another to strengthen our iman? There are so many factors to strengthen our marriage life and make it happy, not just love, which some people unfortunately misinterpret that word. Also keep in mind that if the man is perfect and there is no problem whatsoever, and she's just asking for divorce for the sake of it, the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, in a very serious warning to such woman who's asking for a divorce without a legitimate cause, أيما امرأة سألت زوجها طلاقها من غير بأس فحرام عليها رائحة الجنة. If any woman asks her husband to divorce her without really legitimate cause, then it will be prohibited for her to find the fragrance of paradise. She will not find the smell, the fragrance of heaven. What about entering heaven? So I advise the sister to think about it several times, and think about what's after divorce. Will I ever get married once again? Do I have somebody who's waiting for me? Etc. Think about the future. Seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil thoughts and whispers of Satan, and consult family members, especially the wise ones of your family.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, next, Brother Maqsood from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Brother, you're live and ask your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Actually, I have three questions.
Okay.
One long and two short. First question is, I am a doctor and I was doing GP duty. I got a married couple, having 2-month-old child also. They had some problems in the house, and the female is the patient. The patient is female. Now she is suspecting that, or she is confirmed that her husband is having an extramarital affair. I was trying to solve the problem between them, but then she says that her husband is also a Shia and she is Sunni. So I was confused. What advice should I give them, or give the wife? Whether to say that to divorce, because sometimes the Shias are considered as non-Muslim, some Shias. So
and Dr. Maqsood, you said, what's your specialty? I know that you said, I'm sorry, I know that you said you're a physician, but what's your specialty exactly?
I am orthopedician actually.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was confused what advice should I have given her.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Then I just said to take help from Allah. I want to know what advice would you like to give in such a situation. And another question is, what if someone asks his need in money, and if I want to go for Hajj and someone is needing money, so what to do in such kind of situation?
Is it your first Hajj?
Pardon? No, this will be my first Hajj. One of my friends asked for some money, so I want to ask what is because giving to the needy is also very important, and doing Hajj is also very important. So I want to know.
And you have done Hajjatul Islam already, the mandatory Hajj. You've done Hajj before.
No, I have not done.
Okay, you haven't done Hajj. Okay.
And my third question is, what about the hadith? Some people say regarding when I argue with the people not to celebrate Prophet's birthday, they give an example of Abu Jahl releasing one of his slaves on the day when Prophet ﷺ was born, and they give this hadith. And
that's Abu Lahab.
Yeah, Abu Lahab, and they give this hadith and support the celebration of Milad. So I want to know what is the authenticity of this hadith.
Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Thank
Brother
you.
Maqsood from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Jazakallah khair for those questions, brother. Okay, let's get back to some of these questions. Okay, Sister Aya, Sheikh from Egypt, said, how do we pray the night prayer? Now she's asking about, do we recite it loudly or softly? How do we go about reciting it?
Well, generally speaking, the night prayer, the sunnah with regards to offering the night prayer in the recitation is to be recited out loud. But there is no problem if the person recites silently. Aisha, the mother of the believers, may Allah be pleased with her, narrated, and the hadith is narrated by Abu Dawood and Ahmad and others, that the Prophet ﷺ used to pray sometimes jahran and sometimes sirran, sometimes out loud and sometimes silently in the night prayer. So both are allowed. But generally speaking, the sunnah with regards to the night prayer is to recite out loud. But there is no blame on you if you choose to do either one of them. Unless if you are an imam, then you should recite out loud.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, let's get to some of these other questions we've got. Okay, we have got another question from Sister Aya here. She says, my husband prays his salah sometimes out of time, sometimes altogether out of the time. At the end of the day he prays them all together. How do I go about advising him? She says, I'm a revert to Islam, and thus I don't really know how to advise him, how to correctly come towards him and advise him.
Amazing. So you are a revert and you're advising your husband to pray on time. You can remind him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Maryam in verse number 59, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. There is a severe warning against those who postpone the prayer from its proper time or until its time is out, and those who think that they pray and in fact they don't pray. In this ayah, first Allah the Almighty says about a generation that succeeded them, they أضاعوا الصلاة. The literal meaning of أضاعوا الصلاة, they wasted it. Somebody might think, if he reads the English interpretation, that they used not to pray. No, but the Mufassirin said that أضاعوا الصلاة, meaning that they used not to pray on time. And that is the meaning of they wasted the prayer. They prayed, but not on time. What's the recompense? وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ. So two things. They wasted the prayer by postponing it from its proper time, not offering the prayer on time. They did pray, but not on time. And وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ, and they followed their whims and their desires. What happens to them? فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. غَيّا, it was said that it is a valley in hell, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, that they shall stay there for those who used not to pray on time. Also, if you remember, there's a whole surah that's talking about this subject, Surah Al-Ma'un. Allah the Almighty says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Wail is the name of a valley in hell. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Remember, Allah did not say, woe to those who do not pray. No, they have a different package of torment. But these guys, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Woe to those who pray. But how? الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. They are negligent when it comes to the prayer. They don't pray on time. they pray sometimes and miss other times. Some people say that I pray but the end of the day. I wonder why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to pray all the 5 prayers at once in the morning or in the evening? Because as-salah is an Arabic word which literally means silah, a connection, a link, that you need to have a high-stream connection 24 hours. You have to be connected to your Lord and your Creator 24/7. That is by offering or through offering the prayers on their regular times. فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. So beware of not offering the prayer on time. It is as bad as not praying at all, because it is considered one of the major sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide all of us to what's best, and always think about this. What if the angel of death comes to take your soul at sunset, and the first question you will be asked about the current prayer? Have you prayed Asr? Have you prayed Dhuhr? No, I was planning to pray them when. If you can have any assurance from anyone, from the White House, that you're going to live until you make it, maybe, but no one can give you any assurance. So you must offer each prayer when it's fixed time and before its time is out.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, we had a question from Brother Abdul Malik. He asked a question about his pension. Now, he worked in a bank for several years. He finished working with them. He retired with them. They give him a pension now as a retirement package. Is he allowed to receive this pension, Shaykh?
We said before, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Which means, and help one another to do what's righteous and pious, and do not help one another to transgress or to commit sins. This ayah is a major reference in doing or assisting somebody who is doing any bad. Is dealing with riba lawful? It is definitely prohibited, and that's why you quit your job. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, avoid the 7 destructive sins. They destroy even our good deeds. And he counted one of them, أكل الربا, then أكل مال اليتيم. Very severe sins. And Nabi ﷺ said, may Allah curse usury, the one who eats it, the one who pays it, the one who writes the contract, and the witnesses to the contract. So that means everyone who's involved directly or indirectly is included in this curse, and it is prohibited to assist or to deal directly or indirectly with riba or riba contract. That means your job was haram, and the earning from this job is haram. Now, there is some detailed explanation. Number 1, if you did not know before that your job was haram, then you're allowed to take the salary, which was before you've been informed. And also a similar part of the pension plan that suits this time. But if you are aware the entire time, then this entire money is haram. If you take it, you give it away, and there is no reward in giving this money, and you do not think that's a charity. No, this is a means of getting rid of filth that you have encountered, and cleaning your body up from dirt that have touched and contaminated your body. So that is the part which is related to haram and halal. What if the person who quit this job does not have any income, any source of income, and he has some family to support? That will be under the category of al-darura, the necessity. You will only be allowed to take as much as it is sufficient to suffice your basic needs without saving. Meanwhile, looking for a halal income. And keep in mind that if you take anything extra, that's against you, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ فِي مَخْمَصَةٍ غَيْرَ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِإِثْمٍ. And He said, عَزَّ وَجَلَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ, in another ayah. You only take with a limit to keep you alive, to keep you surviving, just to survive. In your case, I remember you said, Alhamdulillah, you quit this haram job, and now you're working for a company, and you're earning a halal income, so you don't need this money. If you take it, you give it away right away, and you get rid of it, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you better than that.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, Brother Burhan from Bahrain had a question. regarding his Hajj tamattu. He says between the Umrah and the actual Hajj starting itself, there's going to be a period, this is a tamattu. He wants to know, can he fast in this period, Sheikh?
Yes, absolutely. No problem whatsoever of fasting, voluntary fasting, or fasting of the fidya, in case that you are not able to fulfill one of the obligatory or mandatory acts of Hajj, maybe, and you are not able to pay the fidya, which is a sacrifice, so the alternative is available. So it is permissible to fast after performing Umrah and until Hajj. Also, it is worth of mentioning here that what's really disliked during Hajj concerning fasting is fasting on the day of Arafah for those who happen to be there performing the rites of Hajj. Because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, while he recommended for those who are not performing Hajj to observe fasting on the day, saying that fasting on the day of Arafah remits the sins of the past year and a year to come, he prohibited those who were with him during Hajj from fasting on the day. Why? You need some energy and support in order to fulfill the duties of Hajj, in order to make dua while you're awake. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exempted you from fasting, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded you to eat and drink on the day to keep yourself running.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, next we have Tahira from the United Arab Emirates. Sister, you're live and ask her your question, please. Are you there, sister?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
Alaikum
barakatuh.
assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, your question, please.
Yes, I wanted to know for how many generations does the rule of mahram apply, upwards and downwards? Like if someone is my mahram, from my children, how many generations downwards, and from my father, how many generations upwards does the rule of mahram apply?
Okay.
Endless. Al-Abbu wa in ala wal-ibnu wa in safil. Your father, grandfather, great-great-grandfather, ascending all the way until Adam alayhi salam. Similarly, al-ibnu, the son, wa in safil. No matter how long does it go down, your descendants, even the great-great-great-grandson.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Excellent answer and a poignant answer. With that, we're going to take a break and inshallah return to you in a couple of minutes. Please do stay with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You know, sometimes it's important to take a break. We need to take a break. Take a break from what? From the everyday things to look at what we're really doing as Muslims. That's why we said we really need to have this program for you and for me to take a break right here on Huda TV. Stay with us because we've got a lot coming up on Take a Break.
And if you look into the early tafsir, early exegesis of the Quran, you will find that all the Mufassirin were trying to find out where are the seven earths. Earthquakes, natural or artificial, can delineate the boundaries between seven different zones within the earth. The conclusion that we have seven different layers within the earth came to not only the 20th century. The true believer would prostrate down in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessings of that prostration will reach the seventh earth.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ask Huda. A warm welcome to all of you who are watching us from the internet, and you can do so at www.huda.tv 24 hours a day. And to the rest of you and to those from the internet, let me remind you of our telephone numbers. Country code is 202, then it's 38555 248 or 249, and email address as usual is ask@huda.tv. Sheikh, let's start off with a couple of questions from the SMS, and you can send us a question through the SMS. The information's on your screen there from whichever country you're texting from. Text us a question and we'll try to read it out for you. We've got a question here regarding ihram. The brother wants to know, if I use antibacterial wipes or gels or oral care strips which have a strong smell for a few minutes or few seconds but go away after some period, am I allowed to take these while I've got ihram on?
If this smell is scented, I mean it smells like perfume or fragrance, then even if it evaporates right away, because similarly every fragrance is alcoholic. But if it is not scented, then there is no problem even if the smell stays.
Okay, and we've got a second question here now. This is to do with Hajj, as we're coming into this period. How does somebody avoid removing hair, and when, the question is rather, from the first of Dhul Hijjah or just before they put on the ihram, the brother asks?
The question actually is referring to two major issues. The first is with regards to one who is not performing Hajj and is given udhiyah. There is a sound hadith that في Sahih Imam Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, if one is planning to offer a sacrifice, al-udhiyah, then generally speaking from the first day of Dhul Hijjah, the month of Dhul Hijjah, until he sacrifices his udhiyah, he should abstain from clipping the nails or removing the hair. Only the person who is planning to slaughter this sacrifice. Now this is one case with regards to those who are not performing Hajj or Umrah. But if the person is performing Hajj, he is exempted from offering the udhiyah. Then he is only restricted from removing the hair and the nail. He or she is during the state of ihram. So if he or she have intended to do Hajj tamattu' and they offer the Umrah in a couple of hours, once they finish the Umrah, they go to shave or trim their hair, and now they enjoy staying in a state of tahallul until the 8th day of the month of Dhul Hijjah to assume a new intention of performing Hajj. Unless if they are planning to do Hajj al-Qiran. So they do the Umrah and they remain in the same condition of Ihram all the way until they finish the rites of the Hajj. Okay? While the Prophet ﷺ recommended Hajj al-Tamattu' actually, even though the scholars differ with regards to the superiority of which type. But whichever Hajj you choose based on what suits your itinerary. So if you're going, for instance, 10 days before Hajj, why do Hajj al-Qiran? Why keep in a state of ihram worried about removing the hair or the nail or wearing stitched clothes or showering with scented soap? You just do Hajj al-Tamattu' and that's best for you. You do the Umrah, you exit from Tahallul by shaving or trimming, then you enjoy the 9 days, 8 days, staying in Tahallul, do the Tawaf, recite Quran, pray in the Haram, or even go to Al-Madinah, then return back and on the 8th day make a new intention of performing Hajj. That's known as Hajj al-Tamattu'. Now, the trick is, what if you're planning, besides doing Hajj and offering the Hajj, also to slaughter a sacrifice back home? Does the hadith of Imam Muslim apply to you? Yes, it does. Well, what about if I want to remove the unwanted hair and prepare myself prior to Ihram? In the Hajj step-by-step program, we said that amongst the recommended things to be taken in mind and consideration before taking the shower and assuming the intention of Ihram, clipping the nails, shaving the hair, and removing the unwanted hair and so on. Is it permissible? Yes, it's permissible in this condition because it's a mean of personal hygiene in order to prepare yourself for a higher ritual of the Ihram.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, next we have Brother Aslam from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Brother, you're live and ask your question, please. Brother Aslam, are you with us?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
assalam, brother.
Your questions, please, brother.
Yeah, I just have two questions.
Yes, carry on.
First is, if you are planning to go for Hajj,
yes.
If you have any loans, are you supposed to settle those loans? Like, for example, I can settle it because the income what I'm supposed to earn, like, through my salary and whatever. So is it farl to settle before you go to Hajj, or even after you perform the Hajj you can come and settle it? That is question number one. Question number two is, if you are doing any kind of, say, business, you have got some capital from your relations. So you are earning 10% profit out of that. How you are supposed to give the return to the people whom, I mean, the relations from whom you have got this capital, and for example, the business is monitored and run, and all the effort is being made by me. So how much I am supposed to take, and how much I am supposed to give it to the people whom I am taken the capital.
Brother, with regards to the first question, are your debt or loans due, or past due, or they still due in the future?
It's
Yes.
still due in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're paying on time?
You're paying the debts on time, yes? Okay.
Yes, on time.
Okay, great. Jazakallah khair. Brother Aslam there from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Next we have Sister Shamim from the United Arab Emirates. Sister, welcome. You want to ask her your question, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I want to ask you about car finance.
Okay.
If you want to buy a car on installments, they are saying in an Islamic way, they will just buy, the bank people will buy the car and then they will give us on installment and they'll take some profit over it. So is it an Islamic way? Can I go for it?
Okay.
Inshallah, I'll give you the exact details of the permissible format for such transaction.
Okay.
Can you please answer it immediately so that I can go for it, because I'm in urgent need of it.
Okay, Jazakallah. We'll try our best, sister, but as you can see, I've got quite a few questions, so we've got to go through those first. So we're going to try our best to go through. Jazakallah khair, sister. Sister Shamim there from the United Arab Emirates. Okay, Sister Sumay asked the question. We want a concise answer, if possible, Sheikh, because there could be a lot of answers for this one. What qualities should we look for in a future husband? Not me, the sister.
And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in the hadith, إِذَا جَاءَكُم مَّن تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَأَمَانَتَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. So basically the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam focused on a couple of traits and characteristics which are most important. He said, مَن تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَأَمَانَتَهُ. His deen, his religious commitment, and his amana, his manners, his honesty, his trustworthy, and so forth. So it's perfectly fine to look for a person who is rich and who has a good job and he's handsome. All of that is also prescribed. But the priority should be for these two factors, deen wa amana. And if one asks for somebody's hand and her guardian rejects him, even though he fulfills the two traits which the Prophet ﷺ prescribed, the deen and the amana, that is a main reason for the widespread of corruption and mischief on earth. إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوا تَكُنْ فِتْنَةٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَفَسَادٌ عَرِيضٌ. So as you said, just for the sake of time, I would satisfy with that.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, Sister Sumaya has another question, and she says, can you explain ayah 35 from Surah Al-Nur, please, Sheikh?
Then we don't have to answer any other question after, because this is a quality ayah that needs detailed explanation. The ayah which talks about Allah's Nur. Ayah 35 of Surah Al-Nur, in this ayah Allah Almighty says, الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار. This lengthy verse of 35 of Surah An-Nur, of course, is describing Allah's guidance and hidayah. And maybe I will just satisfy with giving the near meaning. Allah the Almighty says what it means. Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. Allah is, as Abdullah ibn Abbas said, Nur here means the hidayah. He is the guide to everyone in the heavens or on the earth. And accordingly, the rest of the meaning will be based on this proper understanding that the Nur is the hidayah. In another ayah in Surah Ibrahim in the beginning, Allah the Almighty says that كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ لِتُخْرِجَ النَّاسَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ. So the hidayah is nur, is light, is illumination, and so forth. So Allah the Almighty says that the parable of His light, مَثَلُ نُورِهِ. The Mufassirin have two different opinions with regards to whom does the pronoun nurihi, that ha, in the ha of the pronoun, belongs to Allah and His light, or belongs to the recipient of this light, which is the heart of the believers? Accordingly, the understanding of the rest of the ayah will be based on whichever opinion. So in the first one, they say that the parable of His light, which sheds in the heart of the believers, and His guidance is like a niche. In this niche there is a lamp, and the lamp is put in a glass. The glass is as pure as a brilliant star, and it is lit from a blessed tree. This blessed tree in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it an olive tree. So Shajaratu Zaytun, or the olive, is a blessed tree, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in this ayah. So many benefits in this verse. And then furthermore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described how pure, how brilliant is the oil which is extracted from the olive tree in this parable, by saying that لا شرقية ولا غربية. It's neither of the east nor of the west. What does it mean? You know that the tree or the plants or the crops will give produce based on how much they absorb of the sun rays. So Sharqiyya means it only gets the sun rays in the morning from the east. And Gharbiyatin of the west, that means it only gets the sun rays afternoon. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says La sharqiyatin wala gharbiyya, neither of the east nor of the west, that means it's in the middle. It's getting the sunlight and sun rays throughout the entire day. That means it is such a blessed tree that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said يَكَادُ زَيْتُهَا يُضِيءُ وَلَوْ لَمْ تَمْسَسْهُ نَارٌ. The oil of this tree will almost glow off by itself, even without being touched with a fire. Then by the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He wants you to imagine the hidayah which He puts in the heart of the believer, like this niche that has the lamp in a brilliant glass, like a brilliant star. And He described the oil, how pure is it. Then He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says by the end, نُورٌ عَلَى نُور. There is light upon light. يَهْدِ اللَّهُ لِنُورِهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah guides to His light whomsoever He wills.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. You did very well there, mashallah.
I tried.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, let's get to some questions from Sister Zuwa. She's from Canada. She's a 9-year-old watcher there, mashallah, barakallah fiha, for these questions. The first, she says, can I wear perfume at home? A very sensible question, Sheikh.
Yes, you may, no problem. But make sure that if you're leaving home, you should wash it off. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam released a serious threat with regards to a woman who's wearing perfume and going out, even if she's going to the masjid. It is totally haram, and it is one of the major sins.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. And the second question is another very interesting and very clever question regarding reading a prayer book while making du'a. In prayer books which have du'as in them and so forth, Sheikh.
Please do so. Just make sure that you're not reading in the yellow pages or those booklets or notepads which describe that this dua is specific for the first round and the second round and third round. There is no such reference to anything like that. The only dua that is narrated with regards to performing tawaf is when you come to the Rukn al-Yamani that precedes the black stone corner. The Prophet ﷺ was reported as saying, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Can I recite this dua regularly even throughout the rest of the tawaf? Yes, you may, but there is no specific dua. I can recite the adhkar of the morning or the evening. I can recite Quran, I can recite Surah Yasin. I can just, that if anyone is going for Hajj, people give him a list of names, pray for me, pray for my son, pray. You can make dua for them, even reading from the paper to remember their names. That's permissible during tawaf.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, Sister Yusuf from Egypt asked a question about kidney transfusion. Basically, not the transfusion, but rather transplant, Sheikh, sorry. Can we give our kidneys to someone we love? And just the general question, can we do that in the first place? And if so, can it be to somebody you love?
This particular question is a research related to modern contemporary medical issues and is their relations with fiqh. But in brief, that whether it is a beloved one or somebody else whom you're trying to help, the scholars say, if this organ has 2 of them in the body of the donor, and the physician said that one of them is sufficient to keep the body of the donor running properly, and taking this part of the body of the donor would not affect his life in negative by any means, and there is 100% or almost there is a compatibility between that kidney or that part which is taken from the body of the donor and going to the recipient, that the recipient is compatible with the part, with the body organ of the donor. And of course physicians are fully aware of that. They run so many tests. Otherwise the body would reject this organ and would be such a waste and a calamity, a chaos for everybody. And with the most important condition, it's a sadaqah. There is no compensation, there is no payment. If there is the least, if there is a gift, or if there is a check of $1 million, more or less, then this whole transaction is haram, because this body of yours and this body of mine, I do not own it. It belongs to me for some time as an amana. Our bodies belong to Allah, and that's why He says, He instructs us what to do to protect them and to preserve them. So if it is as a mean of charity, or a gift to save somebody's life, and it will not affect you in the future, near future or far future, physician said so, and it's compatible with the recipient, and the recipient's life is determined on this donation, then it's permissible, and there is a reward for you, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, I've got a question from Sister Aisha here. She said, we are able to go to Hajj financially, but our children are quite young, 1 year and 2 year old. We have nobody to look after them. I think that's after you asked them that question. The only way to do Hajj, of course, is take them with us, but of course the amount of people there, the safety of them. Are we allowed to postpone our Hajj due to this reason?
This question really bothered me since last week, because there is a difference of opinion between the scholars whether Hajj is due immediate once you have the means, or you can postpone it and there is no blame on you. But of course the Prophet ﷺ said in some ahadith which are not really the highest in his soundness, one who does not perform Hajj while he is capable, they let him die as a Jew or as a Christian, which indicates that one must perform Hajj once he is capable. So if it is possible to accompany your kids along with you, please do so, and it will be count as Hajj for them, voluntary Hajj. And by the way, many people think that Hajj is a burden and is very tough. For the ladies, once you perform your tawaf and sa'i for the Umrah, you stay in your hotel room, and each prayer you're praying there counts, even if you're not praying in the haram. And we stated before that the Prophet ﷺ said, your prayer at home is superior to your prayer behind me in a masjid al-Nabawi, in the prophetic masjid. Then you come out on the day of Mina, then Arafah, and if you have kids, you're allowed to leave Muzdalifah early, right after midnight, and of course you don't have to have your kids throw since they're too young, by themselves, the stones, you can do it on their behalf. So if it is possible, that's fine. Even though I do not recommend for parents to take such young kids along with them. So if you can find relatives, neighbors to take care or look after your kids in your absence, that's fine. If you decide to take them with you, if you have some precautions, that's fine. Or otherwise, I hope inshallah that's a legitimate reason to postpone your Hajj, since you're not really capable to perform Hajj, even though you're capable financially and physically. And Allah knows best.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. The Sister Aisha has a second question. It's regarding Fajr Salah. She says, when does the time of Fajr actually end? We have Fajr, for example, at 4:30 and Ishraq, the sunrise there at 6 a.m. When does the time end for Fajr?
I would consider that I did not hear timing, because I don't really care about timing. I care about sunrise. That is the end of the Fajr time. It's beginning when I see light, horizontal light from the east direction in the horizon. That is the beginning of the true Fajr, Al-Fajr al-Sadiq. Okay? So basically it is not the timing or the calendar. If it consigns the actual time, that's perfectly fine. If not, then this is the beginning time when I see light in the horizon from the east side, and its end is at sunrise.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for all your answers today.
Okay,
well, that's all the time we have for you on this episode of Ask Huda. I told you it goes quickly, you've got to call early. Let me just tell you that you can send your emails to us at ask@huda.tv. Well, until next time, we both leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
If my love is attached to thee, then from sins I will be free. Each time my heart will beat, your name will resound with heat. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance. ignorance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.